again. My name is Ludwig Koester, founder of the Koester Academy. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how to interpret the planned value, the earned value, and the actual cost. But before we continue, don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the bell button, and every time we have a new video, YouTube will inform you about it. So let's have a look at the S-curve and the cost information that we get during project execution. In the graph here, you see the classical S-curve in red. We have at the end of the project, we find the budget at completion, and the S-curve has, in fact, at a certain moment, now T index N, is in fact the moment that we evaluate the project. We evaluate how is the project performing. Now, we see this here, and when we look at the curve, we can have, in fact, three different possibilities. And let's have a look at the three possibilities. First of all, we have AC index 1 and index 2. So what can we say, AC 1 and 2? Well, they're smaller than or equal to the planned value at the moment of measurement. This means that we typically are happy because we are either below budget or on target, which is in both cases considered to be very good. The second thing, we have actual cost 3, larger than the planned value, which is typically considered as being negative. We're spending too much money. And the last position, AC4, well, here we are larger than the budget, which means that we cannot continue the work, whatever situation we are in, because the allocated budget for this period has been exceeded. Now, even AC index 3, we are over budget, but we're spending more money than the planned value. But we can still continue working because there is still budget available. Now, what happened in many cases, even when people were optimistic, AC index 1 and AC index 2, people noticed that the projects were late and over budget. And that created some problems because although we are very optimistic at a certain moment, we also see that there is a false feeling of optimism. At the end, we see that the project is late and over budget. Now, what's the reason here? What's the problem here? When we create the S-curve, what do? In the planning, we create activities, and each activity shows, in fact, certain deliverables being created, work being done, and for that work, we have a cost estimate. And those two informations are combined in the S-curve. We have the expression of the deliverables produced over time in monetary value. Now, what happens when we start with a project? We start creating deliverables. And basically, the two curves, or that one curve, splits in two curves. One curve is showing what are the deliverables that are being created at estimated cost. And the other curve is, in fact, the curve showing the costs that we have to pay or that we incur to create those deliverables. And those two curves are, in fact, now separated. And that's where we introduce earned value parameters. I will just adjust the board, and then we can look at the next part of this video. We have the same curve, but the first parameter I put here now is in fact the earned value. What is the value of the deliverables that I have created up to this moment? And we can calculate that. We know which deliverables have been created, and we know the value of it. Now, when we look at this, we can consider three positions. Earned value is smaller than planned value. It means I am behind schedule. I'm creating deliverables at a slower pace than what I originally planned. So I'm slower, I'm behind schedule. EV is equal to PV, then we are on time. We are producing the different deliverables as we planned, and that's a good thing. And the last element we can have, EV, is larger than PV, so we are ahead of schedule. And that's also a good thing. So we have to consider those three possibilities. In our case, EV of Tn is below PV, and I can add PV of T here. And this means that our project is behind schedule. Let's do the same for the actual cost and see what we can conclude here. The next thing I add to this graph is the actual cost. How much money did we pay until this moment? And that is another parameter that we have to evaluate. Now, we were looking at PV and EV to estimate what's the schedule performance of the project, but now we have to compare actual cost and EV. First element, when we see that actual cost is equal to earned value, it means, okay, we are on target or we're performing as expected. We're not paying more than estimated to create the deliverables. When we have the actual cost smaller than the earned value, this means we are below budget. We're spending less than what we estimated. In the last case, we have actual cost. Tn is larger than earned value. Then we are above budget. So these three cost parameters compared with the earned value show me how we are doing cost-wise. So with these parameters compared to the classical approach to cost evaluation of a project, now we see that we have two parameters and we interpret them in a different way. The planned value is basically the cost or the expenses that we estimate to spend for creating the deliverables over a specific time schedule. Earned value shows us how many deliverables we actually created over the time span, and we transform them to money using the estimates that we used during the planning step. And the last element, what we are looking at, is the actual cost. How much did we actually pay to create the deliverables? And those three parameters will lead to what we call earned value management and will provide us a better estimate of the budget at completion or the estimate at completion. We will calculate what do we expect the project to cost at completion. That's it for the introduction of the earned value management parameters. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the bell button, and every time we have a new video, YouTube will inform you about it. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in our new videos. Bye bye.